Madhura mridanga bhaje Paramarasala Shankha bhaje Ganta bhaje Madhur 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 bhaje Shankha bhaje Ganta bhaje Madhur 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 bhaje Oh madhur 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 bhaje Madhur 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 bhaje Shankha bhaje Ganta bhaje Madhur 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 bhaje Shankha bhaje Ganta bhaje Madhur 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 bhaje Ki babahu koti chandra jini badana ujwala Gala dese banamala Kore jala mala Kiva Shiva Shukha Narada Preme Gada Gada Kumbhaka teve noda dekhe Ghorara sampada Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai Jaya Gauranitai 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 Jaya Gauranitai Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Nitai Gaura Hari Bol Hari Bol Hari Bol Gaura Hari Bol Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shiva Shadi Gora Bhakta Brinda Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Nityananda Hari Hari. Jaya Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Shivashadi Gora Bhakta Vrinda. Nityananda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Chan 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 Jai Jai Madanga. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Harinam Harinam. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Oh, Chan 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 Everybody loud Chan 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 Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Oh, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Ram, Ram Ram, Hare Hare. Oh. Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hare, Nitai Gauranga, Gaura Hare. Gaura Hare, Gaura Hare, Gaura Hare, Gaura Hare, Jaya Gaura Hare, Gaura Hare, Gaura Hare. Oh, गौरा हरे बोल। निताई गौरा हरे बोल, हरि बोल, हरि बोल, गौरा हरे बोल। गौरा निताई, गौरा निताई, गौरा निताई, जया गौरा निताई। जया गौरा निताई, गौरा निताई, गौरा निताई, जया गौरा निताई। जया किशोर किशोरी, किशोर किशोरी, किशोर किशोरी, जया किशोर किशोरी। जया किशोर किशोरी, किशोर किशोरी, किशोर किशोरी, जया किशोर किशोरी। जया जगन्नाथ, जया जगन्नाथ, जया बलदेवा, जया सुभद्रा। जया जगन्नाथ, जया जगन्नाथ, बलदेवा, जया सुभद्रा। जया जया प्रभुपाद, 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 जया प्रभुपाद। जया जया प्रभुपाद, 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 जया प्रभुपाद। जया जया प्रभुपाद, 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 जया प्रभुपाद। निताई गौरा ब्रह्मानंदी हरि हरि बोल।
जय ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस ऐसी भक्ति वेदांत स्वामी श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय। नित्य लीला प्रविष्ट ओम विष्णुपाद परमहंस परिव्राजकाचार्य अष्टोत्तर शत श्री श्रीमद हिज डिवाइन ग्रेस श्रील भक्ति सिद्धांत सरस्वती ठाकुर प्रभुपाद की जय। अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय। नामाचार्य श्रील हरिदास ठाकुर की जय। प्रेम से कहो श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैत गदाधर श्रीवास आदि गौर भक्त वृंद की जय। श्री श्री राधा कृष्ण गोप गोपीनाथ श्याम कुंड राधा कुंड गिरि गोवर्धन की जय। श्री वृंदावन मथुरा धाम की जय। श्री मायापुर नवद्वीप धाम की जय। पुरुषोत्तम क्षेत्र श्री जगन्नाथपुरी धाम की जय। इस्कॉन शिकागो न्यू सेवकुंज धाम की जय। देयर मोस्ट मर्सीफुल लॉर्डशिप श्री श्री किशोर किशोरी की जय। श्री श्री जगन्नाथ बलदेव सुभद्रा महारानी की जय। श्री श्री गौर निताय की जय। गंगा माई यमुना माई की जय। भक्ति देवी तुलसी महारानी की जय। श्री हरिनाम संकीर्तन यज्ञ की जय। ऑल ग्लोरीज टू द असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू असेंबल्ड डिवोटीज, ऑल ग्लोरीज टू श्री श्री गुरु एंड गौरंग।
Thank you, Prabhu. नमस्ते नरसिंहाया प्रहलादालाद गायिने हिरण्याकशिपूर्वक्षः
शिलातंका न खालाए, इतो नरसिम्हा परतो नरसिंहो, यतो यतो यामि ततो नरसिंहो, बाहिर नरसिम्हा हृदय नरसिंहो, नरसिंहम् आदिं शरणं प्रपद्ये, तव कर कमल वरे नखाम अद्भुत श्रृंगार, दलित हिरण्यकशिपुर तानुभृंगा, केशवधृता नर हरि रूपा, जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश हरे, तव कर कमल भरे नखाम, दलित हिरण्यकशिपो तानुभृंगा, जय केशवधृता नर हरि रूपा, जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश हरे, केशवधृता नर हरि रूपा, जय जगदीश हरे, जय जगदीश, जय नरसिंहदेव, जय नरसिंहदेव, नरसिंहदेव, जय नरसिंहदेव, जय नरसिंहदेव, जय नरसिंहदेव, नरसिंहदेव, जय नरसिंहदेव, जय नर हरि, जय नर हरि, नर हरि, जय नर हरि, जय नर हरि, जय नर हरि, नर हरि, जय नर हरि, जय भक्त प्रहलाद, जय भक्त प्रहलाद, भक्त प्रहलाद, जय भक्त प्रहलाद, जय भक्त प्रहलाद, जय भक्त प्रहलाद, भक्त प्रहलाद, जय भक्त प्रहलाद, जय किशोर किशोरी, जय किशोर किशोरी, किशोर किशोरी, जय किशोर किशोरी, जय किशोर किशोरी, जय किशोर किशोरी, किशोर किशोरी, जय जगन्नाथ, जय जगन्नाथ, जय बलदेवा, जय सुभद्रा, जय जय गौरानिताय, जय गौरानिताय, गौरानिताय, जय गौरानिताय, जय गौरानिताय, 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 जय गौरानिताय, जय जय प्रभुपाद, 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 जय जय प्रभुपाद, 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 Prabhupada, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gora Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. नरसिंह भगवान की जय, प्रहलाद महाराज की जय, गौर प्रेमानंदी, हरि हरि बोल.
So everyone, please repeat after me. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Loudly. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna,
Krishna Krishna.
Krishna Krishna,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare,
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama,
Hare Rama.
Hare Rama,
Rama Rama.
Rama Rama,
Hare Hare.
Hare Hare.
So I want to welcome you all for a very exciting Krishna Fest again. It's the month of December and ending the year. So there are a few things to talk about and share in tonight's lecture called the Yogi who drives a Ferari. Yeah. So for those of you who are here, any first time guests? First time? Don't be shy, we don't eat you. Okay, thank you for joining us, and we ask you to come forward and receive a gift as a token of our appreciation, and that we hope that this is the beginning of a friendship with you, that you come again and again. Thank you for joining us. Very, very glad. The schedule of the program is that after my announcements, we'll have the Sunday lecture till 6:30 p.m. And then we go upstairs to the third floor for dinner. And then we come back here at 7:30 for the finale, the final kirtan, before the curtains close at 8 p.m. So please, that's the schedule. After class, you just follow the line, everyone moves to the third floor, so you won't be lost. Usually one is lost on the way down. Okay. I have Acharya Nishta here, who is the person managing our distribution of sacred literature. And this being the month of December, we call it the December Marathon Month. And he has something to share with us of how we can expand the distribution of our literature.
Hare Krishna, yes. We're very close to reaching our goal this year. We set a goal for 40,000 books. Very impressive for Chicago. And we're close, but we still have a ways to go. We still have many thousands of books to distribute. So we're going out every day, at least Monday through Friday, to the Hare Krishna Airport, meeting travelers from all over the world. They're coming by, just minding their own business, and they get hit with Transcendental Mercy, Srila Prabhupada's books. So for the month of December, for our marathon, we'll be celebrating Gita Jayanti later in the month. So in commemoration, all this month, we're inviting you, please come forward and help with this effort. You can help by picking up books from us, distribute them on your own, or you can just make a sponsorship, and we'll distribute the books for you at the airport. At the book table right out here, you just come by, leave your name. We're doing a very low price just for the sponsorship, just for the price of the books. It's $60 for a case of soft Bhagavad Gitas. That's 24 Bhagavad Gitas. Or $80 for a box of 16 hardbound Gitas. And those will be changing people's lives. And the holiday season is a great time for us to give as well and to share with others. So please just drop by and make us help us out. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Acharya Nishta Prabhu. And finally, last Sunday I had announced or shared with you the different ways any of you can get connected to ISKCON Chicago by means of some voluntary work on Sunday. So when the class is over and we go upstairs for dinner, there's this young man who's standing right there. Raise your hand, Ajita Prabhu will have little post-it notes for you. We ask that if you'd like to get connected and offer some voluntary service on Sundays, then you, on that post-it note, write your name, email and phone number, and stick it on one of the sheets that's pasted on the wall. And there are different categories of things, like the Sunday feast cooking, the cleaning, or some education, or marketing, etc., etc. So there are sheets up there. we encourage you, if you haven't done it last Sunday and you had some time to think, or you were not here last Sunday and you're here today, and you want to be part, please, I will be very, very grateful and happy that you're part of ISKCON Chicago family this way, by means of some service for Srila Prabhupada and the devotees. Okay? So thank you very much. I have a request. I did notice that as the evening progresses, more people join us, and then there are these pockets of people. So I request you to please move up, because more people are going to come join us in the night. And feel free, there's this whole space here, so you can take any space there, just move up. And move forward also, there's ample space. It is said that Srila Prabhupada created a house in which the whole world can live in. So definitely we can house more people here. So yeah, feel free to move up, and there's ample space here. Yeah, you will. Your service is to make sure no one walks by this way, yeah. Because people do. Hare Krishna, everyone. I have a request, similar to what the airlines will also ask us to do, that until we are at 10,000 feet, please do not turn on any of your electronic gadgets. Please turn off your phones or put it on vibrate mode so it doesn't disturb the person sitting next to you. Yeah, there you go. That is our example here. So we'll begin tonight with invocation, seeking the blessings of our teachers and Krishna, so that we may be an instrument in the hands of Krishna, that whatever words do come out, that they are empowered for the pleasure of Krishna, Srila Prabhupada, and all of you. Om Ajnanatirmirandhasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chaksurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Sthapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Svapadantikam Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Evacha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Srivasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. So the title for tonight is A Yogi Who Drives a Ferari. Actually, this is a little modification of the title of a book written by a famous speaker, Robin Sharma. It says, A Yogi Who Sold His Ferrari. So the story of that book is about a person looking for meaning of life and reaching the heights of success and finding out that they're very frustrated and really nothing is working out. And so they sell their Ferari and are in the search of truth. However, according to the teachings of Sri Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita and the explanations given by our teachers, we have a slightly different perspective on it. So I'd like you to raise your hand if you are one of these. If you are an educator, a teacher. No teachers in the house. No. An administrator, like a boss or a manager or supervisor at all. Are you a businessman? Conduct some sort of connected to business. You're raising your hand for everything. That's right. Or work in a factory, or you move things, or you fix things. You're a craftsman. You're a handyman, something. Okay. If you are a student, don't be shy. It's okay to be a student. Okay, student. If you're a householder, okay. Someone is a housewife, okay. Anyone who's retired, okay. Anyone who's a monk, trying to be, okay. Anyone working at a job, which includes other, okay, good. Anyone looking for a job? Anyone looking for another job? So if you've raised your hand, is there anyone who didn't raise their hand for anything here? Okay. So if you did raise your hand for any one of these, then tonight's lecture or discussion is for you. Okay. Yeah, thank you. I have a yogi joke that I've used many times, and I'll do it again. So tonight, I'll be making jokes about yogis, and I'm not going to distinguish between a hatha yogi and a jnana yogi or a bhakti yogi, because I'm also trying to be a yogi, so don't be offended. I'm making jokes about myself, okay? But this is about a certain type of yogis, but it's only a joke, so you get the idea. There were 3 yogis who were meditating in a cave. And you know, yoga means slow everything down, breathe peacefully. So when they were meditating in their cave for a very long time, a mouse ran by. 6 months later, one of the yogis said, "Did you see the rabbit?" 6 months more passed by. And the second yogi said, "That was not a rabbit, that was a mouse." 6 more months passed by. And the third yogi said, "If you two don't stop quarreling, I'm going to leave this cave and find another one." Only some people laughed. Okay. The context for tonight's lecture is a verse from the Bhagavad Gita, chapter 8, text 7. And it goes this way. This is the Sanskrit, and I'll read the English. If you know, you can recite with me. Tasmat sarveshu kaleshu. Okay. Mam anusmara yudhyacha. Mayarpita mano buddhir. Mame vaishyasya samshayaha. I know it's difficult. I'd said if you know it, do it with me. But anyway. So here's the English. Therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna, and at the same time carry out your prescribed duty of fighting. Anyone like fighting here? With your activities dedicated to me and your mind and intelligence fixed on me, you will attain me without doubt. So Krishna is asking Arjuna to do two things. Generally, when we ask someone to come and meditate with us, they think that they have to stop what they're doing and from doing some action, abruptly stop everything and get into a mode of complete non-activity or inaction. Because that's generally if I were to say, I use the word meditation, what comes to your mind? Most likely it'll be person sitting down, not doing anything, eyes closed, looking inwards, however, right? But Krishna is asking Arjuna to do two things. He says, one is continue, please carry out your prescribed duty. And this is why I asked who's a businessman, an educator, a housewife, a student. That list was because each of us has a set of duties according to that identification we have. I'm a father, a husband, I'm an employee, or I'm a student, whatever. I have certain duties associated with that title. And Krishna says, do it, on one hand. He also says, fix your mind and intelligence upon me. And he says, you will attain me without doubt. So the reason someone's called a yogi is not because they may have a long beard or they know halasana, bhujangasana, pavanamuktasana, different. That's not what a yogi is necessarily. But the word yogi means a person who's trying to find that connection with God, with Krishna. And such a person is called yukta, or connected. So the purpose of a yogi's life is to find that connection and strengthen it for the rest of his or her life. And one who's connected with Krishna, one who's connected with the Supreme, that person is called yogi. And there are certain characteristics which we'll talk about today. So in the commentary, there's a short commentary but really packed. This instruction to Arjuna is very important for all men engaged in material activities. So that's every one of us. We're engaged in some activity that has to do with this material energy. The Lord does not say that one should give up his duties or engagements. One can continue them and at the same time think of Krishna by chanting Hare Krishna. This will free one from material contamination and engage the mind and intelligence in Krishna. By chanting Krishna's names, one will be transferred to the supreme planet Krishna Loka without a doubt. So generally, when a person does something in this world, they have a tendency, that's any one of us, we have a tendency that whatever we work and what comes from that work, we call it ours or mine. So there's a saying, how do you make God laugh? The answer is, you say, this is mine. Because nothing is mine or ours. The whole idea in this material world is as a person is working, they have a tendency to call things mine. We were discussing this earlier this afternoon. That I would say, just because I'm a researcher, or I was a researcher, We don't say anything in 100%, although it is probably 100%. But 99.99% of people work for money. There's very rare that someone works just for the heck of it, right? And that money allows for things to come into our lives, for possessions. And because we have worked and we have toiled and we have sweated it out, the money we think is ours, and the goods and facilities that come from that money, we call them ours. Mine. This is mine. True? Yes. You ask someone, whose is this? We say, mine. Because I'm entitled to calling it because I've earned it. I bought it by the money that I have earned by my hard work. However, while in a conventional sense that may be true, right? I hope it's and we should use it that way, because if we find a child running and we say, whose child is this? We don't say after tonight's class, I don't know. I was told I shouldn't say, this is mine. Or whose wife is that? I don't know. No, in a conventional sense, we say, this is mine. But beyond the conventional sense, there is the absolute reality. And the absolute reality is that everything belongs to Krishna. And Srila Prabhupada, our founder Acharya, would often challenge by saying, we buy a house with money, we put our name on the door, we call it my house. But none of the things that were used to put that house together were created by any one of us. We did not create the wood, we did not create the stone, we did not create the paint, because we put it all together chemically, but the raw material didn't come from any one of us. Water didn't come from us. The earth didn't come from any one of us. But we put it all together and we say, this is mine. So beyond the conventional sense, the absolute sense is relevant and it is true. And the sense of being a yogi is to see that absolute truth as well. While on a conventional sense may say, this is mine. So this whole idea is presented by one of our teachers who wrote extensively around the years 1600, 17th century, a little earlier than that, by the name Rupa Goswami. And Rupa Goswami gives any one of us who's looking for that purpose and meaning of life, wanting to be a yogi, because it's described that that's the purpose of human life. He said two things. First, he gave what is generally misunderstood as who a yogi is, and second, the correct understanding. So he says, first is, in Sanskrit, prapanchikataya buddhya hari sambandhi vastunah mumukshuvi parityaga vairagyam phalgu katyate. He says, prapanchikataya buddhya, that when a person thinks, or his or her view of the world is that all of these things around me are material, although Hari Sambandhi, they're actually coming from Krishna. When we use the word material, from a Bhagavad Gita perspective, the word material means I don't see someone's or something's connection with God. So that becomes material. For example, in all over the world, different religions, they have their holy books, right? A holy book has or is made with paper pulp, some glue, some ink, right? Side by side, I could have a book that tells me how to create a bomb that can kill many people at one shot. That's made with glue, paper pulp, and some ink. But when we hold this book, we touch our head to it. We keep it in a sacred place. We have reverence for it. Of course, there are some persons who might hold this one to their head and have great reverence for it. But generally, what is it that this book we call holy and this book we call unholy, although they're made of the same ingredients? Because this book, we see direct connection with Krishna. Of course, all the ingredients for this one also came from Krishna, no doubt. But this is material because I don't see that connection. So anything material means no connection with Krishna, and anything spiritual means as soon as we see that person or that thing's connection with Krishna, it is spiritual. Simple definition, simple operating definition. So he says that those who are in pursuit of inner fulfillment generally reject things of this world and think that, oh, if I accept anything from this world, then I'll become attached to those things. Those things become so dear to me that if I have to give them up or if I have to lose them, there's too much agony, there's too much pain. Let me not just connect with anything. Let me renounce everything. Srila Prabhupada would say that such renunciation, because Rupa Goswami says it, that such renunciation doesn't make sense. And he would, I guess, humorously narrate that if at that time there was the American Express Bank, now there is no American Express Bank per se, he said that if you stand in front of the American Express Bank and say, I renounce this bank, it doesn't make any sense because the bank is not yours anyway. It's easy to say, I renounce something that's not mine. So to say, I renounce this or I renounce that, he said is funny but really not correct. So what is it that in this world that really belongs to us? Is there anything? Hardly. So there is nothing to renounce. In fact, he would say, the only thing that we have to renounce is the idea that we have to renounce something. We have to renounce that idea. Nothing belongs to us. In the absolute sense, in the conventional sense, we do say. So that's the first verse. And he says, Vairagyam phalgu katyate. That kind of renunciation is not only incomplete, it's incorrect. And the next verse, anyone know what that verse is? Thank you. Anasaktasya vishayan yatarham upayunjatah nirbandha krishna sambandhe yuktam vairagyam uchyate. It says, that's the first operating word, anasaktasya, that one can take from this world things without the sense of ownership, without the sense of proprietorship. That's the right word, proprietorship. You can take things from this world without the sense of proprietorship because there is another proprietor, that is Krishna. So we can only be caretakers on behalf of Krishna. Now, who knows what to take and how much to take? So he says, yatarham, yata arham upayunjatah. It depends on one's qualification. It depends on one's need or service in this world. For example, there's a soldier. That soldier needs to carry certain artillery, a certain kind of uniform. We don't walk around like that every day, do we? We don't wear a soldier except on Halloween, if it's nothing else, or if we don't walk around like a soldier or a Navy man or an Army man. No, we don't, because that's not our service. So depending on one's service in this world, depending on one's contribution or identity in this world, one is allowed to take certain things or use certain things, but knowing that Krishna is the actual proprietor. And he says such kind of acceptance, nirbandha, it does not result in becoming attached to thinking this is mine. Krishna sambandhe yukta vairagya uchate. So yukta, the real renunciation, proper way of renouncing, is to accept things without a sense of proprietorship and use them in Krishna's service. So if Krishna's service needs or demands a particular type of facility, that's perfectly all right. And Prabhupada gave us ample examples. He would say the microphone, or he used to use a dictaphone to record his lectures, and then they would transcribe it. So ordinarily a person might say, this is very material, this is a product of technology. We are to renounce this world. We don't use anything in this world. Prabhupada said, we use it because by this we can broadcast the message about Krishna. We use the dictaphone because by that we can record transcendental sound vibration. He traveled by plane, he traveled by car, etc. And that's for the purpose of serving Krishna. So everything and anything can be used if one knows how to use it, and second, one has a clear purpose behind using it. Now there is a tendency that one might cheat oneself. One might, I don't want to offend anyone, but whatever. One might buy something very fancy thinking, I'll serve Krishna with this. And that might be the original intent, but over time one finds that one uses it and forgets Krishna. So it's a double-edged sword in that sense. It's called yukta vairagya. If the spirit of renunciation is not clear, one becomes yukta, one becomes used by the very thing that one is trying to use in Krishna's service. I often give this example. Let's say we're driving a car, a Ferari if you like. We're driving a car. Who's in control, the car or the driver? What would you say? Driver? No? Driver. Thank you. It is, the driver is in control. And let's say while driving, you're driving on a highway, it's afternoon, after lunch, you have a tendency to doze off at the wheel. Anyone dozed off at the wheel ever? Yeah. And if you're dozing off, you're still driving, but who's controlling the car? Who's controlling who? Suddenly, the car controls the driver. We say the car's out of control. From being the controller, in a moment of inattention, you become the controlled. And that's how accidents and sometimes very disastrous accidents happen. Similarly, when one is using things in this world, as long as one is alert and aware that this is for Krishna's service, one's in control. A moment of negligence or inattention or taking things lightly or for granted very quickly one becomes controlled by those things. And then one cannot give up, or if one finds it hard, very hard if they lose it. Is there anything in this world that stays with us? Nothing stays with us except we as the soul. We've heard the story of a man with 4 wives. A man had 4 wives, and he was very, very, very attracted to his 4th wife. She was young, beautiful, attractive, and he spent all his money buying her clothes, cosmetics, etc., etc., shampoos, whatever. His 3rd wife was someone who came from a very, very famous family, was very good looking, and he would take her for all the parties. Because people would say, look at that guy, he's so lucky, look at him. What a wife he has. Some people say trophy wife or a trophy husband. People say, how did this guy get that woman? He would always take her. As far as the 2nd wife was concerned, he would go to her for advice. He would go to her for spending his time and socializing with her. And the 1st wife, he completely neglected. In fact, he was not even aware that he had the 1st wife. So as life went on, there came a point in time when he was on his deathbed. And all his family had gathered around him. And his eyes were fixed on his 4th wife. And he asked her in the most pitiful voice, honey, I'm going to die. Will you come with me wherever I go? And in a very cold, matter-of-fact manner, she said, when you die, you're on your own. And his heart broke, it shattered that I spent all my money, all my attention on you, and how can you be so cold and calculating and said you're on your own? So out of desperation, he turned to his 3rd wife, the one he took around for all the vacations and parties, and he asked her, would you come with me? And she said, sorry, not me. So he turned to his 2nd wife. Will you come with me? And she said, I'll come up to the crematorium. After that, you're on your own. And the 1st one spoke up, I'll be there. So he almost asked her, who are you? And he remembered, oh, this is my 1st wife. And by the time that he could recognize the value that she held for him, it was too late. So it's described that each one of us has 4 wives or 4 husbands. And that's how we live. The 4th one is our body, that we spend all our attention and time and money on, in clothing it, decorating it, etc. The 3rd wife is our possessions, our degrees, our cars, things that we like to show off to people. Oh, look at that. He has a degree from the University of Georgia, whatever. We like to show that off. The 2nd wife that we go for advice and socializing is our relatives, friends and relatives. So when death comes, when at the point of death, the body is not going to be with us. So when the 4th one said in a very cold manner, you're on your own, it's true. It is cold. It is true though. And as far as our possessions, they don't go with us. When we die, the degree is still hanging on the wall. It has no meaning. Or whatever, the car is still in the garage. It has no meaning. As far as friends and relatives are concerned, they may become pallbearers and they carry us up to the crematorium, and then it's bye-bye. So the one that always is who we are, is with us in this sense, is our soul. And that's important, and most people don't pay attention. Don't pay attention at all. The fact that we are conscious living entities and hungry for a loving relationship with God, but searching for all that in different places. Misguided. And so the purpose of human life is to be that yogi that makes that connection. And in that pursuit, one can take things in this world, even drive a Ferari if need be. The point is not that one rejects things, but that one knows how to use things in the service of Krishna. And Krishna says in this verse, for you to be practicing Yukta Vairagya properly, you have to have your mind and intelligence fixed on me. What does that mean? Mind is the storehouse of all desires. I want, I feel like, I wish, etc. So when the mind is fixed on Krishna, then all our aspirations and desires are in relation to Krishna. I wish, whatever in blank, in relation to Krishna. I wish I can serve Krishna. I wish I can learn to do this for Krishna. I wish I could do that for Krishna, etc., etc. So mind fixed on Krishna means that our desires, generally our desires tend to take us away from Krishna. Because there is so much out in the world to desire for. So bring all our desires, our aspirations to Krishna. And intelligence is our value system, what we stand for. Prabhupada often joked, when someone asked Prabhupada, what's the difference between the mind and intelligence, Srila Prabhupada? And Prabhupada said, if you go to a high-rise building, you're on the top of the building and you look down, and that which tells you, how would it feel if you jumped, is the mind. And the intelligence is that which will tell you, don't do it. But intelligence, generally we say, is that which allows us to discern between what is good for me, what is not good for me. When we do things that are harmful to ourselves, we say, oh, that was a moment of lack of discretion. It was a moment my intelligence was not working. I could not tell what was good for me. Right? So intelligence is that which allows us to discern what's good for me, what's not good for me. But where does it come from? Where does that ability come from? Or on what basis do I discern what is good and what's not good? It's the value system that we hold. For example, one of the things in a value system that across cultures and across religions is to be truthful. If I were never taught the value of being truthful, for me to utter a lie I would not even bat an eyelid. It is because someone taught me, don't lie, that when that situation is such that I may have to lie, something stops me. Do you really want to lie? That's that value system, it's the intelligence. Or don't cause harm to anyone. And when someone does something violent or harmful, it's described that their intelligence at that moment was not working. It depends on the value system. And each one of us has our own value system that comes from our culture, our parents, the tradition that we've grown up in, the environmental circumstances, etc., they all form our value system. And we notice that each one has a different value system. Therefore, what's okay for one, it's not okay for another one. But then there is what is called the absolute value system. That's given by Krishna in the Bhagavad Gita. The absolute value system is humility, tolerance, forgiveness, service to Krishna, service to humanity, etc., service to all living beings in this world, respect, honor, dignity. These things come from that value system. And how do I know that I'm operating on this value system if I'm not living it? It's not working. So when Krishna says, with your intelligence fixed on me, it means that we have time in our life, in our busy day, to pause and take a few minutes to develop this value system. Without this value system, then we cannot distinguish or discern at that moment when I'm supposed to take something from this world and I take it on the basis of that value system. This is for Krishna's service because everything belongs to him. This is that intelligence. If I don't have it, I take it for my personal enjoyment. And that comes at a risk. It comes at a price. What is the price? Karmic reaction. It comes at the price is an attachment that is later very painful to give up. So the best way to live in this world, in our jobs, in our schools, in our professions, etc., is to see how what we are doing is in relation to Krishna. And I'll end with this final point. Generally, it is easier in the beginning to take what comes from our jobs or work, as whatever work we do, as a housewife, as a professional, a student, whatever that is. It is easier to see the things coming from it. Let's say for most of us, it is money. It is a little easier to take that money and use it in Krishna's service in the form of charity. Right now is the holiday season. Any grocery store you go to, there's somebody outside ringing a bell and appealing to us to be charitable. Why is it that we should be only charitable between Thanksgiving and Christmas? Why? Why not throughout the year? Why not throughout life? So it's easier to take money and say, oh, this came from my work, this is for Krishna's service. But there is something even more inherent, and that is at the workplace, to see that all the ability comes from Krishna. The intelligence comes from Krishna. What we are working with is Krishna's energies. The material energy is Krishna's. And all we are doing is we are there at the right time, at the right place, and somehow putting things together. And that's about it. And how to put it together is also coming from Krishna. There's a famous devotee in our movement, Vishnujan Maharaj, late Vishnujan Maharaj, who would cite this example. So every day we cook and make an offering to Krishna first before we eat. Thank you. So he said that this was his prayer while making an offering to Krishna. My dear Krishna, how can I say that I have cooked something for you, when actually the fire on which I've cooked is your energy? The pot in which I've cooked is made of your energy. The vegetables, etc., are your energy. The water that I've boiled is your energy. And the intelligence that I have to put these things together and put it on the fire for this amount of time with these spices, which are also your energy, that intelligence is coming from you. The taste that's in the vegetable is coming from you. The intelligence that I'm supposed to offer it to you first is also coming from you. So what is it that I'm doing? All that I'm doing is not exploiting it, not grabbing it for myself. So please kindly accept what I'm offering to you. Now that's in the realm of cooking. That's very sweet. But what about software, engineering, accounting, finance, biology, whatever, research, or whatever we do, or mechanic? Why not? Why not the same kind of thought process that connects us to Krishna? So then it's described that with the money that we have, instead of saying that that's what I'm going to use for Krishna, why not even work for Krishna from the beginning? That this is for you. Then the question will be, what is okay for Krishna? Can I play soccer for Krishna? Is that all right? Can I go to the bar and have a whiskey for Krishna? This is for you, Krishna. Is that all right? No. Then we need to have that values where Krishna said, mind and intelligence connected to me. So Krishna tells us, this is how you do it. And all the teachers following Krishna tell us, this is how you do it. Otherwise, there is this severe sense of attachment that is very, very painful. And that pain is going to happen. It's not optional. At the time of death, everything is ripped away from our grasp without any notice, in a very cold, calculated, heartless manner. In one sense, it's described for our own good. So if we want to be the yogi who drives the Ferari, then we need to have our mind and intelligence connected to Krishna. I'll leave you with these 4 things. So when you leave this room tonight, after hearing about how to work for Krishna, one may say, how do I know whether I'm doing it or not? So here are some 4 indicators for you. First, this is from Srimad Bhagavatam. If you like to read more, this is from Bhagavatam, 1st canto, chapter 2, verses 8, 9, and 10 also. But I'm saying it in a language that's different from the way it says it, but still relevant. First, by our engaging in our duties every day, in our jobs, work, whatever we're doing, studying, one thing should happen. There must be some attraction for hearing about Krishna. Because if you're doing it for Krishna, we should know who we're doing it for properly. So it says that if one doesn't have that taste during the day or end of the day to hear about Krishna, one's work is considered useless labor. Shrama eva hi kevalam. So that's the first indicator, that there must be some taste, some attraction to hear about Krishna, to hear from the Bhagavad Gita, etc. Second, one must check within oneself the purpose one is doing one's occupation for. The purpose should be only this and nothing else. It's called self-purification. Self-purification means I want to know what is my relationship with Krishna. And that needs to be revealed. And all of what we do is helping remove the layers of misconceptions, remove the layers of misunderstanding the purpose behind life and work. So self-purification, that's number 2. Number 3, Bhagavatam says one should not perform one's duty for material gain. We'll say it again. One should not perform one's duty or work for material gain, why am I doing it anyway then? It's for the other two reasons, the previous two, for self-purification and for attraction to hearing about Krishna. So the question, when someone may ask me, should I take up a job and tell my company, I'm the best employee for you because you don't need to pay me? Sunday night, Nityananda Pran said, don't engage in work for the sake of material gain. Yeah, if you can do it, great. I don't think so. Material gain here means that the sense of proprietorship, that I own this money, I own these possessions. That's the gaining. If you don't own something, if you lost, you don't care. Vrajpati had lost his phone earlier in the evening. If I had said, anyone lost their phone? If it's not your phone, you wouldn't even think a second time about, oh, that's an expensive phone. No, not my phone. But the one who's thinking, that's mine, that's the one who's suffering the most. I lost my wristwatch. I lost my wristwatch a few days ago, and I'm miserable because I'm thinking it's mine. That's the material gain. And the fourth thing, all material gains should not be used for sense gratification. Sense gratification means I work, I earn, and I enjoy. The bars, movie theaters, etc. are full on which day? Payday. Payday. Because people think, I worked, I've earned, I enjoy. Bhagavatam says, that's not the purpose for working. What, I'm not supposed to enjoy now? No, we're all meant to enjoy. It's just how we enjoy. The enjoyment is in giving. Because there is something about giving and taking. And I'm sure each one of us has this experience. When you give, what you feel is far better than when you don't give. It's just the nature of the act of giving. When my son was very young, he was about 3 years or 4 years old, he was eating something, I think gulab jamun or something, I forget, or some sweet. And I told him, can you share with me? He said, no, I don't want to share with you. So I told him, when you share, it becomes sweeter. He said, yes, it also becomes less. But the nature of giving is such that the more you give, there is the fulfillment at an inner level. And we can't accept it unless we try it. There is a sense of fulfillment. And the idea is not giving here and there. We can. But the real giving is to give my abilities, my thoughts, my desires, my intelligence, my words, my effort, my money, my whatever I call mine, in the service of Krishna. Then it's described that a person is never plagued by any worry. So anyone want to be worry-free? This is the formula. And it works. To whatever degree the one can do it, to that degree one is free of worries. So we work, most people work to solve their worries. Isn't it true? We work because we think we work, we get money, and that money will take care of my worries. That's why we work. I owe, therefore to work I go. But the real way of working is to work in such a way that one can live without worries. And that is to not have the sense of proprietorship, that this is mine. And then one can be a yogi and drive a Ferrari, there's no problem. Otherwise, one can drive even the simplest of cars, the Ford Edsel, which is not in make anymore. Because if I say any car, people get offended. Whatever car, one can get very attached to it and becomes the source of worry and misery. So by the grace of Srila Prabhupada, we're getting within the Bhagavad Gita the nugget, the nectar of how to live a worry-free life, or rather, how to live a life of happiness and joy. So we encourage you to please take to the study of Bhagavad Gita. If you don't have one, please stop by the gift store. If you have one, take to studying it a little bit more deeply. And if you're already studying it very deeply, then please take the step of sharing it with others. Okay? So thank you very much. I want to hold you longer for coming tonight. The next piece is we all go upstairs to the third floor for dinner, and we come back at 7:30 for the final kirtan. Hare Krishna. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Oh, I'm sorry. Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Swami Niti Namine Namaste Saraswati Deve गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेषा शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधर श्रीवासदि गौरा भक्तवृंद Shri Krishna. That's okay. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Rama Rama Hare Hare. My throat's all weird. My throat's all weird. Krishna Krishna You can do the clappy slappy beat. Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Should I stop?
I saw her upstairs.
telling Nathan that I'm coming back down.
Do you guys have to go anywhere?
No, we don't, but no, we could start. I don't know. Okay, I'll just do. Oh no, go ahead. I'll just do kirtan until she gets here, like for like 2 minutes. What? Wow.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna. Rama Rama. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare.
Oh, okay. Thank you so much. Appreciate it. Thank you so much.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama, oh Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama Rama Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे राम हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा कृष्णा हरे 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 राम 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 हरे 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 कृष्णा